water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in...
Nope, we're not discussing Avatar The Last Airbender today, but
Hi, I'm Hanan and currently I'm outside. It's 8 a.m. and actually I'm not literally touching the grass, but that's what I'm trying to do because for your information, this is week 12 already and it is so hectic, and I think all I need is just one day outside breathing the fresh air, just resetting my brain or something, and looking at this green landscape. I think all I want to be right now is to be one with the elements. Yeah. Oh, talking about elements, recently I watched a movie called The Elemental with my friends NAMIERAH, Seri and ALYA. But before we go deeper into the movie, let me show you something. Aida Rahman? Of course, I remembered meeting her at the party. She was so stunning. I think she's the one that I met at the party. I guess I'll just pretend that I met her at the party. But why do you ask though? Okay, I'm pretty sure that you noticed that there is a difference in words and how they react to the question. These two could signify something. And what is it? Actually, those three are the examples of presupposition. Later, NAMIERAH and I will give more examples of presupposition based on the movie Elemental. But before that, the Elemental is a cliche about opposite attraction between a fire creature and a water creature. Cliche, okay? What do you think about the word cliche? Do you feel positive or negative about it? But keep that question in mind because later in the second half of the video, Seri and ALYA will explain about that under the topic of connotation. Presupposition is the information in an utterance that is taken for granted for its truth value. This is because it is based on what the speaker and listener consider to be true prior to the utterance. Presupposition is not affected by negation. For example, let's say that there is a gathering and it's almost midnight and someone says something like, I realize that it is this late. And if we negate that sentence to, I don't realize that it is this late, well, either way, those two sentences presuppose that it is indeed late. Yeah, the fact that the time is late already will not change. Words like remember, think, realize, and pretend can help us to identify presupposition. These words are called presupposition triggers. Other than verbs, it can also appear in the form of adjectives such as odd and sorry. Even the article the can help us to locate presupposition. For example, I met Amy at a party. The article the in the utterance means that there was some kind of party that was held in the past. According to you, 1996, presuppositions can be divided into 6 types, and I'll be presenting the first 3 types, which are factive, non-factive, and counterfactual. To make it easy, I'll explain it from the most true to the most false presuppositions. Factive holds true presupposition. Non-factive doesn't really contain presupposition because there is uncertainty in the utterance, while the counterfactual contains false presupposition.
I'm afraid I can't let you in. Residents and guests only.
Okay, I understand. You're surprisingly good at your job.
You're surprisingly fast for your age.
The first factive word is afraid, and it is quite literal here. The presupposition is I can't let you in, which is true because only residents and guests are allowed in there. One thing to be noted is the water guy is wearing a security uniform and guarding the front of a high-end apartment. Then, the firewoman must already aware that her presence is not welcome there. Which brings us to the next fictive word, understand. She's saying that she understands that she can't be let in, so that presupposition holds true based on what the waterman had said to her and her general observation. Even so, she still forces herself into the apartment. For this one, both of them acknowledge the fact that the waterman is performing his duty excellently, which is true because the firewoman can't even get in.
I'm sorry the internship is so far away.
The first presupposition here is that there is an internship somewhere, and the second one is that it is located far away. Prior to this scene, both Amber and her father already discussed the internship, so they both know which internship is being talked about, hence making this fictive presupposition.
I think I'm failing.
This one is easy. No one knows if Amber is failing or not, so that's why it falls under non-fictive presupposition.
Man on his deathbed remembers the summer he fell in love. She was out of his league and he was young and scared. He let her go thinking surely summer would come again. It never did.
The word remembers indicates that something has occurred in the past. In this case, him falling in love in summer is a specific thing that happened in his past. For the word thinking, it shows that the old man on his deathbed didn't even know if he can live another year to witness summer again. Hence, that's what makes it non-fictive presupposition.
Alright, we all know that water begins with the letter W. Now, my name also begins with the letter W. Hello and assalamualaikum, my name is NAMIERAH, and today not only will I be representing the element of water, I will also be continuing this presentation regarding presupposition. So, let's get into it. Let's start with lexical presupposition. Lexical presupposition deals with the unspoken meaning, unspoken information conveyed by certain words. It's like a hidden layer of meaning, implicitly assumed to be true. Therefore, it's beyond the literal meaning of a word. For further comprehension, let's watch a clip from the movie.
Fire! Fire! Ah, fire!
Hey, hey!
Oh, sorry! You're so hot.
Excuse me?
No, I mean like you're smoking. No, I didn't mean it like that.
Are you done yet?
Yes, please.
From the clip, Wade says, "You're so hot," referring to Amber's self, her fire self, her hot temperature. But through Amber's response, it can be assumed that she interpreted or she assumed what Wade was referring to, or what the meaning hot was hot, as in good looking. Now, Wade does realize this and tries to fix his errors by saying, "No, I mean you're smoking." But there's still a similarity between the meaning of the words smoking and hot. However, Amber does realize what he was trying to say in the end. Alright, moving on to the second presupposition, which is existential presupposition. Now, existential presupposition is a subtype to lexical presupposition. However, it specifically deals with entities that are mentioned by the speaker that are assumed to be present. Let's watch a clip from the movie.
Okay, well, I just came by because I left my passes for the game here last night.
Passes? Like, plural?
From the clip, Wade says, "I just came by here because I left my passes here to the game last night." Which Amber caught on and asked, passes, as in plural? She had assumed that there are more than one pass, Wade had more than one pass, or not just one pass existed at the time. One pass as in one ticket, to which Wade did have more than one pass, and he also did end up taking Ember to the Windbreakers game. Last but not least, structural presupposition. Now, unlike the previous two, structural presupposition focuses more on the structure of a sentence, less on the words. So structures like grammatical structures, WH questions, and comparisons are what form structural presupposition. Let's understand this further by watching another clip.
Enough! What kind of food inspection is this?
A food inspection of the heart, sir.
Who are you?
Just a guy who burst into your daughter's life in a flooded old basement.
So you are the one who burst the pipes?
What? Not me, it was...
You?
So why did Bernie immediately assume that Wade was the one who bursted their pipes? Well, from Wade's statement, just a guy who burst into your daughter's life in a flooded old basement, that in addition to Bernie's hatred towards water, made him immediately assume that Wade was the one who bursted their pipes, which is why he asked, or he accused Wade, so you are the one who burst our pipes. Now, of course, it wasn't Wade who did this, it was Ember, but of course, Bernie didn't know this. And with that, I will pass this presentation to the next elements who will present regarding connotation.
Okay, just now we just heard about the presuppositions, right, based on the Elemental movie, and right now we're gonna talk about connotation based on the Elemental movie. We'll dig into the interesting world of language and investigate connotations, a notion that lend depth and richness to our words. We'll concentrate on positive connotation and how they impact our views and relationship. So let us begin. Before we do that, we have to establish connotation first before we get into the positive connotation. The rest will be explained by Seri. So, connotation refers to the emotional or cultural implication that words have beyond their literal meanings. Sensation, attitude, and judgment can be produced by subtle shades of meaning.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
Thank you to ALYA, and now we will be moving on to the importance of connotations. Words have connotations, which are the feelings, opinions, or implications that they hold to mind beyond their literal definitions. Connotations can affect the tone, theme, and style of a text and can vary depending on context, culture, and personal experience. Connotations are important when you communicate with people. A language in itself is subjective in nature and it can evoke different psychological reactions from different people. That is why using the wrong words can totally ruin communication, even if your intent and ideas were correct and trustworthy. The words you choose can significantly change the meaning of a sentence. Hence, you should completely understand both the literal and suggestive meaning of different words before using them. As connotations express feelings, they may be positive, negative, or neutral, depending on the context. To put it simply, negative connotations evoke a sad or negative psychological feeling. Neutral connotations have no emotional reactions or whatsoever. And lastly, for positive connotation, it makes people feel good in general about the words that they have said or heard. Now, for the examples of positive connotations, I'll be passing back to ALYA. Thank you.
A phrase has a positive meaning when it has a pleasant or uplifting emotional tone. This word frequently causes feelings of joy, optimism, or approval. So consider some example of positive connotation based on the Elemental movie. Okay, now based on the example, we'll see how they portray the positive and connotation. First and foremost, we will look at the relationship of Ember and Wade. The narrative revolves around Ember and Wade relationships, who originate from different elemental backgrounds. Their love story challenges societal norms and transcends prejudice. These highlight the importance of empathy and understanding in overcoming differences. Next, the film looks at Amber's relationship with her family, particularly with her father, Bernie. We can see that their interaction illustrates the importance of family support as well as Amber's emotional journey as she grew up and faced challenges, and how along the way her father helps her a lot. And the third one is the film displayed interactions between characters based on the 4 classical elements, which is air, earth, water, fire, each with its unique set of powers and qualities. These interactions are typically used to demonstrate cultural diversity as well as the need for harmony and unities. And the last one is the defying discrimination. So the protagonists in Elemental regularly face discrimination and misunderstanding as a result of their elemental origin. Their interaction with one another help to question and dismantle this prejudice, and this shows that they disseminate a message of unity and understanding, and that is how one of the examples that they portrayed about positive connections in the movie. So, following that, we'll look at some examples on how the film Elementals employ visual aspect to communicate positive connotations. Firstly, we can see that the film has been praised for its rich and brilliant animations, right? Which brings life to the diverse of world regarding animosity. Moreover, the film's emotional depth and attractiveness are enhanced by the film's bright and visually appealing animation approach. Secondly, the universe of innovation design, whereas the film presents a very inventive environment in which inhabitants from numerous elements reside together, creating a one-of-a-kind and compelling ambience. These creative locations highlight the film's positive feelings by highlighting the ideals of variety, inclusivity, and peace. Thirdly, the characters in Elementals are designed to depict a wide range of emotions and personalities, with the water element being emotional and the fire elements having a blazing temper. This emotionally charged visual depiction contribute to the film's positive connotation and aid the audience in understanding the characters' motivation and relationship. Lastly, we can take a look at the cultural diversity, whereas the visual elements are used to portray a varied cast and to highlight problems such as cultural differences, immigration, and parental expectations. These characters, various features and traits, each of which belongs to a different elemental group, serve as a metaphor for cultural variety as well as the need for harmony and balance.
Thank you, ALYA, for your examples on positive connotations. We will be moving on to the negative and neutral ones. Firstly, we will start with negative connotations. The words become automatically associated with something negative for primarily the feelings they arouse. To give an example, affordable things can be called cheap, which has a negative additional meaning of being average in quality. From the movie Elemental, a scene was shown where Amber's dad had said, "Nobody water downs fire." The negative connotation here is the word waters down, in which it was meant that water shouldn't extinguish the fire people, and the term itself was presented as a mantra that nothing can drag down the fire people. Next, it is also about the word water, in which it was said that water always trying to water us down. Us here means the fire people, meaning that the water people had been a mortal enemy for the fire people and had gave a bad impression that water people are always out to extinguish and bring the fire people down. Moving on, when Amber was little, her dad had brought her to an exhibition about a Vivistra flower. However, upon arrival, it was discovered that fire people are not allowed to go in. They were met with comments that said, "Burn somewhere else." This is considered as a negative connotation because the other elements are implying that Amber and her dad, which are fire people, should cause destruction somewhere else, despite that was not the intention in the first place. Lastly, a scene was shown where Wade's back was accidentally burned by Amber, and while blowing on the burnt side of his back, he made a remark saying that Amber was hot, meaning she was hot enough to burn his back. However, from a negative perspective, the term hot was taken differently. The term hot is a word that has a heavy sexual connotation. Only a few people appreciate being referred to as hot. However, on contradictory, many more think it is inappropriate and somewhat offensive. We will be moving on to neutral connotations. Words with additional meanings that do not have particularly positive or negative associations have or can become neutral connotations. These meanings are often the closest to literal meanings of the words. For example, inexpensive, it is an adjective used to refer to something that is not expensive. It has the same meaning as affordable and cheap, but has neither very positive nor very negative connotations. Before jumping into the Elemental movie, we'll still be looking at a few comparisons. Now look at the words proud, confident, and conceited. The word proud has a neutral connotation as it does not have an emotional aspect. The word confident has a connotation with a positive feeling as it projects belief and self-confidence. Lastly, the word conceited has a negative connotation as it evokes a feeling of being too self-absorbed. Now, from the Elemental movie, Amber's dad had mentioned to her that their blue fire is sacred and gives them strength to burn brighter. It is considered a neutral connotation because fire does cause a brighter reaction in terms of them burning and lighting up even more. Another scene was where Amber was still a child. She had warned the bratty water people inside her shop that if they splash the items, they have to buy it. It is considered as a neutral connotation because unless it is waterproof, if you were to splash something, an item, an object with water, the item has a potential to be damaged. Moving on to another scene that was mentioned, it was when Amber was preparing to do her deliveries and stumbled upon a flirty earth element, namely Claude. In his failed attempts of trying to ask Amber out, Amber had rejected him by saying the elements don't mix up, which realistically speaking was true, and especially in the scene where Amber had burned Claude's flower down. Next, there was a scene in this movie that had used the term funk, as in F-U-N-K, which according to the Cambridge Dictionary means that the state of being unhappy and without hope. The scenario was about the playoffs for a certain cumulus team, and one of the players were feeling down due to his mother being sick, thus the term funked was used. The crowd did look sad, thus the term funk here was considered as a neutral connotation. Moving on to the next scene, when inquired by Wade about Amber hanging out with him, Amber had replied that her dad would boil him alive, which meant that he would be angry, really angry towards Wade. This was considered as a neutral connotation because it is true that when water is placed near or a high temperature of fire, it would boil. Last but not least, when Wade had brought Amber to meet his family, she was firstly being greeted by his mom, in which his mom had asked if they could shake hands, but there was the fear of accidentally putting her out. The sentence could either be seen as a negative or neutral. However, I personally feel like the mother was asking a genuine question, despite with a cheery face. Thus, it was concluded that the truth in water putting out fire in reality had brought true that the sentence said by Wade's mom was considered neutral. With that being said, I'll be wrapping up our presentation. Thank you for staying till the end and tuning in. See you later!